Center and Community Welfare Association Mumbai, where almost 110 children from the slums are provided with free quality education. What is this center all about? How did it begin? And why is it positioned in the slums? Come, let's find out. So here I am with the kids. I just love their energy and enthusiasm for education. Going inside. When no one responds to your call, you go your way alone. That's exactly the mantra of Mr. Vivek Gupta, an ex.IIT professor. His passion for educating the India is what began this beautiful journey almost 4 years ago. And on the 10th of December 2012, it officially got registered.
যদি তোরে ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে
We have been repeatedly asked as to why we got interested in teaching children coming from very poor background, particularly from the slums around Powai. Well, there are two reasons, very good reasons for it. And both has to do with the fact that we have to show our concern and care for these children who have nobody to turn to. Their parents are illiterate. For education, they cannot be sent to, their parents cannot send them to tuition classes because the fees are very high. And thirdly, they are the neglected lot in the school. So talking about school, there is a report by an organization called Prathamesh. They pointed out, and on the basis of a All India survey they undertook in 2012, that the quality of education imparted in the municipal schools and government schools is very, very deficient. These children don't get much attention from the teachers in the school, and as a result of that, they start accumulating backlogs. So some of us felt that we should do something about it, and we have been interested in school education, and we felt that since we have been educated and we have requisite background, we should be able to do a good job of teaching these children. And this is one of the reasons why we undertook this project.
Firstly, we felt that in our neighborhood there are a large number of children who undergo education in schools where the number of children in a class is very large. Therefore, individual attention cannot be paid to the child. So, in our center, in each standard, the number of students is small. It may be as low as 5 even, but not more than say 10 or 15 in any case. So, with the result that each one of us who teaches in our center looks at each child.
I wanted to teach actually to children, be with children actually. I wanted to help them, those who are underprivileged. Spoon feeding is bad anyway, so what we do is to get the spellings right. I asked them to write the dictation sort of. look into the book and then write. But look for the spelling, do it by heart there and then write. Don't look at the while writing. So let that word go to your eyes, then to your brain, then you can write it.
Education is the greatest gift one can give to anyone in this world. LCCWA is a blessing to these underprivileged children. So what are the methods they use to understand the children, their thoughts, their capabilities? So, sir, could you elaborate a little on the education, quality of education in India, and what are the methods that you use in LCCWA to deal with education?
Right. So what we do is we sort of take a kind of a backward approach, that you start out with, for instance, the exercises, the problems, and ask them to work out those problems. And when they get stuck, we try to find out why they got stuck and explain the concepts which are necessary in order to solve those problems. So this is a kind of backward, backward process of teaching which we resort to.
In our center, we make an effort to try to integrate the teaching of these various subjects. In other words, our maths teacher or the volunteer who is teaching mathematics will, of course, use the school textbook, but while teaching or doing remedial teaching sometimes, will point out the relationship of the mathematics with other subjects like, say, physics or astronomy. Similarly, the biology teacher will relate the biology material to actual things happening like fever and so on and so forth. So that's a major difference, and we hope that it will result in a learning which is qualitatively different from what is normally imparted or acquired in the regular school environment.
Different types of games are there, means Sudoku, they all know this Sudoku puzzles. So Sudoku actually science way we can't connect it, but when they solve the Sudoku, they have to concentrate on the numbers. So it definitely helps in increasing their concentration.
In school, science is usually treated as another subject where you pick up facts and reproduce them during the time of the exam. But if the students children don't get an idea about how science actually works, how science actually is done, then you are giving them a very distorted view about science. And that is what is usually done in the school. The children do not get an overall picture about what science is, what mathematics is, and this is one of the things which we emphasize. We want to give them some idea of what science is.
We want to encourage children to ask questions rather than simply, we say something, note it down and go on. We would like them to ask questions based on what they have seen or even what they have read in the textbook. Something is there in the textbook which they have not quite understood. So they may say something which would be embarrassing to say in the school, but here we encourage them. So this way the learning is more active.
All of us agree that Chaitali has been a tremendous motivating force for us to realize the objective with which we started our center. She has been involved with myriads of activities which are vital to sustain our program, and she has been a cementing force for having our children as well as those who support us to get them together and move this program ahead.
मेरे पास जितने भी बच्चे हैं, आज 100 बच्चे हैं, वो जिसको मैं सोचती हूँ मेरा ही बच्चे हैं, बट मुझे ये भी लगता है ये तो मेरे बच्चे हैं, मेरे सबसे बड़े बात जो है ये समाज के बच्चे हैं, ये सब समाज का हर लोग का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी रहते हैं जो ये समाज को ठीक तरीके से ठीक तरीके से आगे बढ़ाना, इसका ग्रोथ की तरफ देखना। तो मुझे भी इसलिए एक मिशन जो है, जो मैं चाहती हूँ मेरे पास जो 100 बच्चे हैं उसका कौन सा तो भी एक जगह तक पहुँचा देना चाहिए जहाँ वो इंसान बन पाए, खुद को बोल सकते हैं सर ऊंचा करके मैं भी इंडियन हूँ, मैं भी कुछ किया हूँ। एक बहुत डेलिकेट स्टोरी है बट स्टिल आई वांटेड टू शेयर विथ यू। क्लास 7 में बासंती हमारे एक पास आए थे। जब वो आई एंड वो मिडिल में आए थे, पहले से नहीं, मिडिल में आई थी। एंड जब वो आई तब वो मैथ्स में 4+3 कितने होता है इतना भी मालूम नहीं था। पहला 2 दिन के बाद ही मुझे पता चला जो वो ब्राइट है। एक दिन बासंती आके मुझे बोले जो मेरे घर में बहुत प्रॉब्लम होता है मैम, आप मेरा पिताजी को बोलो क्योंकि वो पिताजी पीते हैं कभी कभी एंड आके हमारे घर में बहुत हंगामा करते हैं। इवन उसको तो उन लोगों को तो मारते ही है एंड उसका माँ को भी मारते हैं। तो हमें क्या होता है पढ़ाने के टाइम पे ये भी हमको जानना पड़ता है जो क्यों वो पीछे हो गया था। एंड ये हमारा दूसरा एक प्रॉब्लम है क्योंकि बच्चे बहुत ऐसा होता है जो घर को छोड़ के आने के बाद भी घर उसका चिंता से निकल नहीं जाते हैं एंड वो उसके पढ़ाई के ऊपर बहुत इफेक्ट होते हैं।
पहला जो था हम लोग बहुत गरीब था, मतलब हम लोग को लग रहा नहीं था हम लोग यहाँ तक पूछेगा। 1 कप का 2 कप बना के हम लोग ने चाय पिया नेपाल से आने के बाद। अभी पहला सोचा नहीं था हम लोग सपना पूरा कर पाएगा। लड़के लोग को पढ़ा के कुछ फायदा नहीं। ये हमारी नेपाली में ये था, अभी भी है, भेदभाव बहुत है। बाद में उन्होंने बोला उधर फ्री में क्लास है तो पढ़ाई करना चाहता था, लड़के लोग को भेज दो। तो मैंने बोला ठीक है फ्री में है तो।
मुझे पढ़ाई में चेंजिंग ये सब किसी को भी उल्टा सुल्टा बोलने में और पढ़ाई तो सबसे ज़्यादा अभी ज़्यादा आने लगा है।
She was struggling with her courses in advanced mathematics, and then I started to teach her from the basics of mathematics like class 8 or 7 mathematics, even the summing, plus, minus, multiplication sometimes. And then धीरे धीरे उसको algebra सिखाया मैंने, and gradually she started to learn all these things, and then I started to teach her the class 9 parts.
थोड़ा सा उसको सपोर्ट करे जो ठीक है तेरा घर ऐसा है चलेगा लेकिन तेरे साथ तो मैं हूँ, हमारा लॉजिक सेंटर है। ये जब हम बोलना शुरू करते हैं तो मैंने देखा है धीरे 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 वो हमारे ऊपर भरोसा करना शुरू कर देते हैं एंड थोड़ा शांति मिल जाते हैं, हाँ कोई तो है जो हमें देखेंगे एंड देन वो लोग पढ़ाई में मन लगा सकते हैं।
बच्चे लोग के साथ खेल के सब लोग मेरे फ्रेंड, अभी पहले चिढ़ाते थे लेकिन अब ये सब लोग मेरे फ्रेंड ही बन गए।
If we know the geometry and geometrical aspects, we can count many things. We can count the height of a place, we can count the distance from one place to another, and so many things. There is another interesting aspect which the students come to learn, the direction, x, y, z, they become important. So right from the simple geometry we go to what is known as coordinate geometry. So this also the student comes to learn at later stages. The concept of the proportionality with respect to shape, it comes more naturally if you teach them the various dimensions and various shapes in the classroom. Similarly, it might help them in doing the painting of the objects, and it will be interesting if they learn from this.
मेरा नाम कृष्णा है। माय हॉबी इज़ पेंट और मुझे ट्यूशन में भी अच्छा लगता है जाने, पढ़ाई करने और मुझे मैथ्स अच्छा लगता है, उसमें लॉस प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस।
और ट्यूशन में जाता है, 3 साल हो गए, 3-4 साल हो गए ट्यूशन में जाता है मैडम के पास। वो थोड़ा पढ़ाई नहीं आता था उसको, अभी वो पढ़ता है। अभी गणित आता है उसको, मराठी पढ़ने को आता है।
लेकिन अभी ये साल में जब से वो ट्यूशन जाता है तो बहुत से 50% उसमें बदलाव आया है।
अच्छा।
कैसा कि उसका बात करने का लैंग्वेज, तो झोपड़पट्टी में जैसा बात करता है वैसा उसका थोड़ा सा चेंज हो गया ना।
Krishna is a very notorious student, frankly speaking. And he is a good student, he wants to learn, but he is notorious. So in class, it's a tough task to control him, but once you control him, so it's a like good thing. He like learning, he asks questions, so whenever he don't understand, he asks. That I like about him.
Apart from this, very, very interesting, for example, learning of music, singing, etc. There are people, renowned people who are coming here who teach them music.
For me, I think an education in music is like an education in breathing. It is so fundamental to our lives, but unfortunately or fortunately, nothing wrong, I'm not trying to make any big statement, we have reduced the role of the arts and the role of music to something extracurricular. मतलब ऐसे हो गया हमारे system में. Children are always curious. They are wired to be curious. But somewhere we kind of ensure that their curiosity goes down because we have this habit of wanting to teach. इनको पकड़ के teach करता हूँ मैं. So that happens. Curiosity, I think, child is wired to be curious. So long as we don't, make too much effort to reduce the curiosity, I think they are perfectly fine the way they are. I have been with children and working with children. I have realized one thing, that if I come here with an attitude to teach, then I'm going to be in trouble. Because ये लोग हमको उल्टा कर देंगे यहाँ पे. But if I come here with an attitude to hopefully learn from them, then because I am older, because I have more life experience, because there are some things that some aspects that I can share, they actually learn from me. I don't have to work too hard to teach. So I have, I don't want to dilute the role of a teacher, but I think the less we teach, the more they learn actually.
There is darkness all around these children. And the only ray of hope that they have is Logic Center and Community Welfare Association.
That's how I came to know this girl, Ritika. And I said, this is my first case. I'll put all my skills at this and try where I can, go ahead with. So this is how I came across this child. And when I met her, she was very timid, shy, and naturally, these children have, quite not exposed to a lot of things. They lack so many things. She didn't have confidence. She was with some children, but she never interacted with them fully. And she never initiated anything on her own. So I realized that she's having low esteem. Chaitali ma'am said that she's a slow learner.
लॉजिक सेंटर में जाती नहीं थी ना, तब मुझे कुछ भी नहीं आता था. मतलब कुछ समझ में ही नहीं आता था. स्कूल में जो पढ़ाते सब बोलते थे इसको बुद्धि नहीं है, पढ़ती नहीं बराबर. मेरे माँ बाप को कंप्लेंट करते थे।
जब लॉजिक सेंटर में रितिका गई, जब भी वो मैडम ने उसको देखा कि उसको पढ़ना लिखना नहीं आता है, तो उन्होंने डॉक्टर सोनाली मैडम को बुलाया।
मैम बोले ऐसा कुछ नहीं, उसका बुद्धि काम करता है पर वो ध्यान नहीं देती है। उसके बाद ना फिर वो मैम ने मुझे 6 महीना तक पढ़ाया।
While counseling sessions, I realized that more than her education assistance, she needed to develop her confidence, self-esteem, and due to which she is not able to concentrate on her studies.
अभी मुझे उधर सब आता है क्लास में, मतलब इंग्लिश भी थोड़ा थोड़ा पढ़ने आ रहा है। अभी मैथ्स में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम ही हो रहा है और दिवाकर सर भी मुझे इंग्लिश पढ़ाते हैं। दिवाकर सर बहुत अच्छा पढ़ाते हैं इंग्लिश।
मेरा नाम प्रथमेश है और मुझे सब इधर बाला बोलते क्योंकि मेरी हाइट कम है, इसलिए सब मुझे बाला बोलते। और मैं इस लॉजिक सेंटर में 4 साल से आता है। पहले जब मैं इधर आता था तब मुझे इंग्लिश ठीक से नहीं आता था, मैथ्स नहीं आता था, लेकिन जब से इधर रेगुलर आता रहा ना तब मुझे इंग्लिश और मैथ्स आने लगा ठीक से।
पहले तो उसको मस्ती बहुत ज़्यादा था, पढ़ाई में थोड़ा ध्यान कम देता था, घूमने में ज़्यादा ध्यान देता था। अभी तो उसको पढ़ाई में ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट हो रहा है।
मुझे आके सब जन बहुत पसंद करते हैं और कहते हैं कि मैं 10वीं का भी मैथ्स कर लेता हूँ। मेरा फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट मैथ्स है और मैं बड़ा होके IIT में से इंजीनियरिंग करने वाला हूँ।
There are many more stories like these, like a kid that couldn't even spell one word till the age of 10, or a girl who was dumped by her father, or a kid that came from a family with no electricity. But you know what's inspiring in all of this? These kids still had the courage to come to the center, learn about their right to education, their right to a bright future.
Without value and ethics, children have no sense of purpose and clarity. Not to mention, their ability to think clear and straight will be distorted. Keeping this in mind, this center gives absolute importance in value education.
The center also imparts traits of disciplined behavior and other value system in these children, which has helped them tremendously to rub off all the abusive language they once used to have on their tongue.
फिर दीपेश मुझे इनफैक्ट एक नया लाइन सोचने के लिए हेल्प किया, जो मुझे लगा, मुझे समझ में आया, जो बच्चों को खाना देना, ये बच्चों के लिए थोड़ा सा न्यूट्रिशनल खाना देना बहुत ज़रूरी है, अदरवाइज वो लोग पढ़ नहीं पाएंगे.
So quite early in our work we found out that there is a problem with the nutrition that the children receive either at school or at home or both, and they come to our school in the afternoon and stay with us for nearly 5 hours. That's a long stretch of time, so they need nutrition. Thanks to many generous donors, we have been able to provide them wholesome nutrition, very often made at home.
Physical fitness is not only one of the most important keys to a healthy body, it is also the basis of any dynamic and creative intellectual activity. And education is then complete when given an equal importance to arts, humanities, and of course, physical education.
Here, the physical aspect of education is given equal importance as emotional, mental, or spiritual.
This sport, football, is related to physical activity. Physical activity is nothing but any bodily movement produced by a skeletal muscles that needs energy.
Sports is very important to build characteristics like sportsman spirit or team spirit or confidence, and that is what is known as a 360-degree approach to a child's growth.
Rohan is fond of playing football very much. He loves football a lot. From his childhood, he wants to become a footballer and he wants to become a champion.
We all know that the demographic dividend is a very important factor for the future of India. Come, let's see what Professor Gupta has to say about this.
The demographic dividend the number of young people in the age group of let's say 10 to 25 is going to be enormously big. In comparison with any other country, the population in that age group in India is going to be extremely high. Now what happens if the present system of education is not able to cope with this large number of children who are going to go through school education? If the system is not able to cope with that, what is going to happen to these children? Obviously, after some time, when they are not, the children are not able to cope with the pressure in the school, they will drop out, and the dropout rate, the report also points out, is very high.
I think first of all, I mean, something calling them as as underprivileged or privileged, if we just relate it to money or the resources, is completely wrong. There's enough of talent in every people, anywhere, in this country, anywhere in this village, big city or anything. So, and education is the biggest differentiator. Education definitely helps them first to know things themselves better, to come out of an environment which definitely has a lot of side effects. So first of all, I mean, they come to know things about themselves, their environment. They become aware of good things, bad things, and they can actually take their step up to decide what is good for them.
Municipal schools where there are no computers, even other schools, I have been asking the students, they say that we have computers but we are not allowed to touch them. Okay. Whereas here there are people coming here voluntarily and teaching the students to use the computers, and students are freely playing on the computer, learning various subjects by through the computer.
Teaching methods have gone through, pedagogical methods have gone through tremendous change. Computers are no more end, they are means now. Khan Academy, what we are talking about, it's nothing but gamification of science and maths and a lot of other subjects that we teach.
Now, our approach to teaching computers actually illustrates the first point very beautifully. If you look at a normal syllabus in computer science, what they will contain is maybe some exercise relating to Paint, some relating to Microsoft Word, some typing classes, some games, and then suddenly programming is introduced. And students are basically kept left wondering what exactly is a computer. So what we are trying to do is, rather than developing these skill sets, we are trying to answer the fundamental question as to what exactly a computer is and how does it work.
Computer has become our day-to-day life, wherein each and every one of us are using this kind of stuff every now and then. India is the fastest growing country. So if you look at that, then I don't think you can keep these kids away from that exposure.
So Khan Academy is a great tool. It's mainly meant for self-learning, and the way it works is that it is what is called a whiteboard cast. So you can see a whiteboard where some problems may be solved or some concepts may be explained, and then there's a voiceover in the background. So it gives the feeling of somebody teaching and the blackboard all in a single video, which is very clearly visible.
It always was and still is an uphill struggle for LCCWA. There are as many as 27 IIT students who have been kind enough to volunteer for this cause. As I'm talking to you right now, these students are still trying to convince the parents of these children from the slum and telling them why education is important and why they should send their kids to LCCWA. How amazing is that?
लॉजिक सेंटर में पढ़ाई के अलावा ड्राइंग और संगीत भी सिखाते हैं।
लॉजिक सेंटर से हमें बोरवली नेशनल पार्क पिकनिक पे लेके गए थे। वहाँ हमने बहुत मस्ती की और अच्छे खाने को लंच मिला और एंजॉय किया।
हमें एक दिन लॉजिक सेंटर से नेहरू तारामंडल में लेके गए थे। वहाँ पर हमें बताया गया कि कितने ग्रह रहते हैं, हम लोग उस ग्रह तक कैसे पहुँच सकते हैं। और जब हम उस चेयर पर बैठते हैं नेहरू तारामंडल में, तो वहाँ ऐसा लगता है कि हम लोग मतलब कि हवा में जैसे उड़ रहे हैं।
हमें गणपति के टाइम में आईआईटी के वर्कशॉप में लेके जाते हैं, हमें गणपति बनाना सिखाने के लिए।
इसके अलावा हमें डांस सिखाया, ड्रामा सिखाया, हम लोगों ने मस्ती भी बहुत की।
लॉजिक सेंटर से हमें आई चेकअप के लिए भी लेके गए थे। आई चेकअप के टाइम हमें वो जो डॉक्टर आए थे उन्होंने हमारे आँखों पे बड़ी मशीन से चेकअप कराया।
LCCWA has believed to spread their education through various means, like their numerous publications. This center sincerely hopes that the initiative taken by them will spread far and wide. It is an invitation to each one of us to take part in bringing about this change. Only if that happens, there will be a new beginning, a new economy, a new India. India today needs many more LCCWAs, many more centers trying to awaken people.
But for us, the entire S Prayas, which is our CSR initiative, is much more important than a lot of things that we do. We are committed to this, and so far as vision is concerned, we believe in donating education time to enrich and empower the younger generations. So far as Logic Center is concerned, with Professor Gupta and Professor Agashe, we share our vision, and the kind of things that the Logic Center is doing in this area is hugely important, and we basically are just a kind of catalyst in the process, and that's about it.
We should start not just one LCCWA, but many such LCCWAs, and together we would be able to probably help the society to deal with this particular problem of educating underprivileged children.
What are our plans for the future? Well, we are small and we want to remain small because of the advantages of being small. It will be good if our kind of work can also be taken up in other places by other groups of people. There are enough number of people who will come forward to participate as volunteers. There are enough number of people who will come forward as donors. And it's a great joy interacting with children and learning with them while you are trying to teach.
My vision about this center in course of time, let us say 5 years, is we will have a building of our own which will be at a decent place. We will have good classrooms.
You see, Logic Center always does what they say they are doing. So, and I'm sure, like as Gandhiji says, Gandhiji has said that if you find a purpose, the means will follow. So I'm not nervous or anxious about Logic Center because they have a purpose, means will follow.
With the passion with which this center is running right now, who knows, these kids could just be the next Abdul Kalam or C.V. Raman or Kalpana Chawla for that matter. We really hope the next group of IITians rise right from here. We need many more Logic centers like this all around India for a better world.
मेरा नाम खुशी है, मैं बड़ी होकर डॉक्टर बनना चाहती हूँ। मेरा नाम फलान है, मैं बड़ा होकर इंजीनियर बनना चाहता हूँ। मैं बड़ा होकर पेंटर बनना चाहता हूँ। मेरा नाम लक्ष्मी शर्मा है और मैं डॉक्टर बनना चाहती हूँ। मेरा नाम हर बहादुर सिंह है, मैं बड़ा होकर सोल्जर बनना चाहता हूँ। मेरा नाम प्राची मिश्रा है, मैं बड़ी होकर टीचर बनना चाहती हूँ। मेरा नाम पृथ्वी कैलाश बंसोड़े है, मैं बड़ा होकर डांसर बनना चाहता हूँ। मेरा नाम कोमल है और मैं बड़ी होकर टीचर बनना चाहती हूँ। मेरा नाम श्रद्धा है, मैं बड़ी होकर डॉक्टर बनना चाहती हूँ।
So after watching the film, you might be wondering why am I presenting the video to you, or why was I with the kids throughout. It gives me immense pleasure to tell you that I have been associated with this center for quite some time now. I teach these children dance. If you felt slightly connected with the video, the center is very special to me. I would request each one of you to come ahead and do your bit in whichever small way you can. If you could volunteer for the center, it would be great. And it is important for all of us to be the change.
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 बड़ा खूबसूरत है जहां, ये ज़मीं मेरी मेरा आसमां बड़ा खूबसूरत है जहां, मेरी जिंदगी परवाज़ है वो फिजा मेरी मैं उड़ूं जहां, मेरी जिंदगी परवाज़ है वो फिजा मेरी मैं उड़ूं जहां, ये ज़मीं मेरा आसमां बड़ा खूबसूरत है जहां, कभी धूप लेप के आसमां हमने सुनहरी कर लिया, कभी धूप लेप के आसमां हमने सुनहरी कर लिया, फिर धूप बांध के पाँव में हम उड़े हैं ठंडी हवाओं में, ज़मीन मेरी मेरा आसमां बड़ा खूबसूरत है जहां, कभी वक्त उठा के सरों पे हम और आग लेके परों पे हम, कभी वक्त उठा के सरों पे हम और आग लेके परों पे हम, कभी छानी खाली खला कहीं हम उड़े जहां पे हवा नहीं, ज़मीन मेरी मेरा आसमां बड़ा खूबसूरत है जहां, मेरी जिंदगी परवाज़ है, मेरी जिंदगी परवाज़ है वो फिजा मेरी मैं उड़ूं जहां, ये ज़मीं मेरी मेरा आसमां बड़ा खूबसूरत है जहां, ये ज़मीं मेरी मेरा आसमां बड़ा खूबसूरत है